What's up guys, welcome back, this is JRPG and today I'm going to be doing some fill-in content because it's been more than 3 weeks since the last upload and I'm not quite sure when the next review is going to be dropping out, hopefully soon. And so I decided to watch this old OVA from 2005 called Last Order Final Fantasy VII, and this is a 25-minute episode which focuses around Zack and Cloud and their encounter with Sephiroth on the Nibelheim reactor and also their escape from the Turks and the Shinra soldiers. And some of the scenes that you're going to be seeing in this anime are actually not in any of the games, but most of the scenes that you will be seeing are actually in Crisis Core or in the original game. Now the interesting thing here is that this came out 2 years before Crisis Core, and the normal development time for a lot of games is around 3 years or so. So I'm pretty sure when they were making this anime, they were already in the works of like doing, Crisis Core, because this was probably also used as a form of a promotional material. I mean, this anime came out on the United States, for example, around the same time as it was Crisis Core was released, 2 years later after the Japanese release. Now, there were some interesting design choices that they decided to go with anime, which don't actually correspond with a lot of the things that you see actually in Crisis Core, which I will talk about in a second. Now let's talk about a bit of the story or the plot here. So in case you're not going to be playing the Ever Crisis or Crisis Core, technically there's a good amount of recap in this OVA about the events in Nibelheim and what goes around with Zack and Cloud, and a bit about the relationship between Zheng and Zack. Very minimal though, very minimal, because the dynamics here are very different from what you see from the actual game. And once again, that was very interesting in my opinion. Now, I have to say that it's not amazing OVA, even from quality perspective, because I originally thought that this was from the 90s, late 90s or something, but I was wrong about that. I mean, you're not going to be probably able to find 1080p versions out of it, but I think the animation quality is somewhat decent though. But I think a lot of the problems with this OVA comes around from the very fast pacing. So there's basically two timelines which the episode jumps around with. The time when Zack and Cloud encounter Sephiroth in the Nibelheim reactor, and then you have the moment when they are escaping from the Shinra soldiers and the Turks. And there are a couple of scenes which are in neither of the original game or in Crisis Core, and that was obviously expected when they do anime. They have these, sequences which are not exactly the same. Nothing too major really, or there's one point which I will address in a second, but overall, it's kind of jumpy, and then there are these literal YouTube style jump cuts where literally there's a scene and then they're jumping into something totally else in a very fast pace. Even if this OVA was literally 10 minutes longer, quality wise it could have been a lot more better, to be honest. It didn't really need that much filling. It just needed to feel a lot more natural in terms of the pacing, because it's the playtime, the credits are kind of long, so maybe the actual playtime is around 22 minutes or something. So it's very short, guys. It's very short. And it's not something that I would say, oh, you must watch this or something. But, if you're really a fan, maybe you want to take a look at it. Now, in terms of the anime style, I think it was rather decent. The characters looked good in the anime versions. I mean, this was done by Madhouse, which is obviously a very high-end studio, and I wonder if there's actually some type of as I said, I've watched this on 48p, but there must be some higher resolution version out there somewhere, a DVD release or something. But every character looks pretty good, but Sephiroth looked really weird. He was some budget cosplayer, dragged out from some anime convention and basically made to be portrayed on this thing. His eyes were really there's a very sharp facial structure when you look at Sephiroth. Even in the original game, there's very fierce eyes, and there's something very not kind of devil evil type of a facial features that you can see even in the original game. And that's something that doesn't really, he looks just kind of weird here. He looks a bit older, and he just doesn't, his face is just kind of bad enough in this anime. Now, the other thing that was kind of interesting was the Turks. Now, the Turks make an appearance, and in this one, because like Reno and Rude are friends of Zack in Ever Crisis, and like they are friends, and obviously there's Cisne. Cisne is not in this OVA, and Cisne was designed for Ever Crisis, and it's weird to me that she doesn't make an appearance. I really want her to see her in Rebirth, though. I really want them to bring her back. I mean, there are a lot of these Turks characters also from, I don't remember what's it called, the Before Crisis, the mobile game or whatever. And maybe we're going to be seeing her in that, the mobile game of Final Fantasy VII, like the turn-based one. But there's no Cisne in this one, and there's a lot of like maybe 3 or 4 like random Turks, which probably are not in any other medium. Maybe like 2 of them might be in Before Crisis, but these are like characters you don't see in anywhere. So that was interesting, like adding these random Turks which don't appear in Before Crisis, in Crisis Core, and then you don't have Cisne in. So that was like interesting design choice, because I already said to you earlier that yeah, when they were doing this anime, they were already doing the game at the same time. I'm 100% sure of that. Then again, like, it was a PSP game. I don't know how the development time was actually for it, but I think it's safe to assume that they were working on the game around the same time that anime was being produced. And obviously Square Enix is like listed here on, in terms of like part of the production. So they were having like, eyes on how it's going to be executed and stuff like that. So that's only the thing that you're going to be seeing here, is that the Reno and Ru don't have any like of a emotional connection, and Zeng doesn't seem to have an emotional connection either to Zack, but they are his friends though in Ever Crisis and Crisis Core, obviously. And so that's like a one fundamental difference, because like in one ways, like you could see the Last Order as a promotional piece being used to market the Crisis Core, because obviously this came out in 2007 on North America, and I believe the game came out around the same time. So I think there was like a bit of like a promotion thing, cross promotion thing. They do that a lot of that stuff in Japan. Now, in terms of the OST, not really that many tracks. You have the one of the tracks from the original game, and you also have the battle theme actually from Crisis Core being played on the OVA. So that was a an interesting surprise out there. Now, last point I want to talk about regarding this OVA is the ending. So, as I said, like the anime really focuses around the encounter with Sephiroth, the fight with him, and actually in this version you're gonna be seeing blood, not that censored shit like we saw in Ever Crisis, and which was cool. And I think the fights were pretty prolonged as well in this one, which was also nice to see. But it's always like, the idea that like Claude just could like come out and backstab Sephiroth, that was always like, there's like the theory about like him having the materia, like the sudden attack or whatever materia equipped on, which allowed him to do that. That's like a fan theory or something, but like this kind of just weird. But maybe they like rewrite that in Rebirth. Who knows? But the ending is literally happening when they are in the car. And in the car, obviously, they're going to be jumping out on the outskirts of Midgar, and they're going to be fighting in the cliff, and that's where Zack dies. In one of the games, obviously, he doesn't die in the new remake, but the anime ends up on, like, some Shinra soldiers, like, having sniper scopes, essentially, aimed at the car. And then, like, bang, credits start rolling, and I'm like, why is this the part you're going to be wanting to end this anime on? And it's like, it's just so like, Crisis Core as like a whole story is not really that long. It's like a 12-hour game approximately, and when you cut out all the action and the gameplay, the story could have been told like in 2 hours or something. Like that could have been a like good OVA which actually featured like Genesis and Angelus, but no, those don't appear in this one. So it's kind of weird OVA. I don't know why exactly they made it. I mean, with the 15's anime clips, they kind of made sense. You gave a bit of a background story to the characters. They were like, fulfilling aspects about the game that weren't there exactly. So that was something I kind of liked about them. But there was like a whole argument about like all of these, like the King's Glaive and everything. Like those should have been part of the main game, because you're going to be losing so much context by not consuming these side products, and that's not where your story should be, tailored to. But you know, it was an OVA that I planned to watch, and funnily enough, I have not watched the Final Fantasy movie, so that's next. And I'm gonna rewatch Advent's Children. I haven't probably seen the new recut version or the most recent version, what I mean. So stay tuned for those, and obviously reviews coming out, and a couple of those mod videos that people have been liking. The last video have been exploding, literally like 1,000 views per day. It's crazy, like suddenly it just jumped up on the YouTube algos. And I really appreciate the new subscribers and everything on the channel. And I will be seeing you in the next video. Cheers, and I'll see you soon.